Hi, welcome, good morning, it's June from 1000'S. Well, I've had an idea going round in my mind for a few months, and I thought, you know what, I know it's not um, the subject really that YouTube would probably approve of, but nevertheless, I'd like to get other people's views on it. But before we do, I'm not anti-Semitic, and I'm not a Jewish sympathiser either. I'm just more interested in understanding some facts that go back clearly thousands and thousands of years, right to the Israelites. And, I've read a lot of religious textbooks from different religions. I've read the Quran, I've read the King James Bible, I've read the Old Testament, and I've read Jehovah's versions of the Bible. I've also read books on Buddhism and Hinduism. And, I'm not no theologian, I'm not an expert in religion, but I do have this question going round in the back of my mind, which I would like to get some clarification on. And before I delve into that, what I would like to know is if there's anybody out there that has an English version of the Torah, the Jewish Bible, that I could get my hands on, because I'd love to read all about their religion as well, so I could probably understand it a little bit better. So if there is such a thing as an English converted Torah, and you've got one, or you might know how I could get my hands on one, then please make a note in the comments section. So the idea of what's going round in my mind is, why have they been selected for disfavourable treatment? And like I say, it goes back many thousands of years. The Egyptians, for some reason, selected the Israelites, which were Jews, as far as I'm aware, to be the slaves. But what was it that made the Egyptians choose them to be the slaves? Again, if we go back to the 1930s, there was obviously a reason why Adolf Hitler chose the Jewish people for less favourable treatment. I'm talking about even right up to the days of Kristallnacht, where people were smashing all the windows of Jewish-owned shops, and their property was being confiscated. And the reason for that, I believe, was because back then it was believed that the Jews were taking over everything. Businesses, companies, shops, they had all the money, but they weren't letting it outside their circles. So, they were making themselves wealthy and rich, and, to hell with the rest of the people in Germany. And I think that's what made if I remember, the historical facts right, that's what made Adolf Hitler very popular, because he said he was going to do something about this. And of course, it led up to, the very ill treatment of Jewish people before the Second World War and during the Second World War, and then the Holocaust. So, what is it that goes back thousands of years that always leads to the persecution of Jewish people? With the Egyptians picking on them, the Nazis picking on them, and now, today, there seems to be a lot of, I suppose, there is some hatred from some people, but a lot of dissatisfaction towards them. And, what is it that leads to this, repetitive behaviour that keeps coming along? What is it that they are doing to bring this upon themselves, if that is the case? They are bringing it upon themselves, or people see that they are working together, in a community, and don't really share that outside of their community, that wealth, or they don't, have businesses that are not belonging to their community, carry out that work so that their money always stays in their circle. So, I just ask the question, what is it? What do you think about this? That even the Egyptians selected this ethnic group of people. Hitler selected this ethnic group of people, and today, there is a lot of Semitism regarding this people, and could it lead to, as history has shown, throughout thousands of years, another round of hatred for this particular group of people? I have to say, you would expect, an ethnic group like Jewish people to understand what it's like to be on the brunt of genocide, and you would understand that, having them experience the Holocaust in the 1930s to the 1940s, early 1940s, you would expect them never to treat another race of people in that way. Yet what we see in Israel right now is that very same treatment that was dished out to that group of people, now dishing it out to another group of people, which I find ironic in some ways, because you would think if you knew that that was bad treatment, then why would you treat another ethnic group like that? And of course I'm talking about the Palestinians and Benjamin Netanyahu's recent plans to, clear now the Gaza Strip of the remaining million plus people. And of course we saw in the last 48 hours a refugee camp come under fire and, destroy the camp, literally. So now there are plans to, eradicate all those people out of Gaza, so that the Jewish people can then claim that land as their own and push, the Palestinians completely out. Now, some would agree that what we're witnessing now by the Jews is genocide, but someone would also now take it to that next level because of the new plans and say that this was not just genocide, this is actual Holocaust, an ethnic cleansing of a particular ethnicity. So I think I'm just having the debate on what your thoughts are on this, and why what your ideas are as to why this particular race of people or ethnic group, the Jews, are coming under scrutiny, and not just in this modern day and time, and not just in the 1930s to early 40s, but it goes back even thousands of years that the Egyptians chose to select this group of people and ill-treat them. So what is it that they are constantly doing? Because it seems like they haven't changed, and it's that lack of change that has led to this, behaviour catching them up throughout history. And maybe we could be on the precipice of seeing that happen again because of the disdain against their actions against the Palestinian people. So I'll be interested in your views on that, and if you could point me in the right direction as to where I can get an English version of the Torah, I'd greatly appreciate that. So I'm just sharing my ideas with you guys, nothing more. And of course, once again, I'm not a Jew hater, I'm not a Jewish sympathiser equally, and I certainly am not being anti-Semitic. I'm just asking a question innocently. Why are they persecuted throughout thousands and thousands of years of history? Tell me in the comments section. As always, you have a good day. Take care of your loved ones. Link down there if you want to help support what we do, and I'll say what I usually do. Bye for now.